All right. Welcome into this edition of the Milwaukee Bucks on Top podcast. Corey Moen, Evan Byrne. Evan, how are we doing?
Doing well. I'm off for like 2 weeks, so can't complain for that. Don't have to go into work at all. Nice little break into the new year, but no, doing well. Doing well.
You're on like winter break. The players are on winter break. Like a lot of fun. I cannot
Yep,
imagine.
office is closed.
Yeah, cannot imagine what Brewer players still spends time in Milwaukee once the season's over. I could guarantee you.
None.
Yeah, I can guarantee you're not catching Christian Yelich at Kroger or, like throw out another random Milwaukee place like, Trader Joe's. You guys have a Trader Joe's there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you're not catching them there.
That we do.
So, I mean, no disrespect to Milwaukee, but damn, people got to want to go where it's warm. And, fortunately, Milwaukee's not the warmest climate in the world. And
no, it's freezing today.
No, it's very, very cold. It's like 13 degrees. I only had a sweatshirt on. Did not realize how cold it was going to be. So,
yeah, we were blessed with 40 degrees, and then all of a sudden it drops back to 10.
No, yeah, thank goodness. So let's get right into these. Let's get right into the topics. So obviously, as we've kind of laminated, the Giannis rumors are never ending, and unfortunately, with Milwaukee losing by 45 last week to the Nets and another 6-point loss to the Toronto Raptors, those rumors are only going to get louder the more Milwaukee loses. And, let's just kind of get right into it. So kind of what we're planning on talking about is that, the Giannis, Heat, T-Wolves, and the Warriors are interested in Giannis. Bobby Portis and Giannis seemingly combat Shams' rumors. Giannis also not being comfortable with the trade rumors. Milwaukee's operating as if Giannis will remain with the team through the deadline. And Milwaukee has also talked about getting some help for Giannis. They could be targeting Zach LaVine, Jerami Grant, Andrew Wiggins, Marcus Smart, DeJounte Murray. This guy's been a star, but Kyle Kuzma's name could be a trade chip if Milwaukee wants to improve its roster. Also forgot to mention, buried the lead here a little bit. Giannis is also going to be out 4 to 6 weeks due to a soleus strain. He said that yesterday in his media availability. AD to Milwaukee, and then our good friend Windhorst had some comments yesterday where he was talking about how that Milwaukee essentially kind of outkicked its coverage a little bit in terms of, they were in a contentious window for so long that now it's like this is kind of where the downside starts to happen, that, kind of being a small market team, he was like just kind of referring to the fact that, Giannis is like, well, our contention window is kind of over, so where can Milwaukee go here? And so to kind of kick things off, Evan, as we kind of mentioned before, is the Knicks, Heat, Timberwolves, and the Warriors. They're going to have some level of interest in Giannis. The hypothetical, This is just a hypothetical. What team out of those 5, I believe it is, would be the best trade destination for Giannis if Milwaukee decided to move him?
I, again, can't fathom sending him. I know we talked about this last time. Don't want to send him to another Eastern Conference team. That would just be the stupidest thing to do. I think the Spurs is the realistic best option. The only downside for that is we just then don't really have a lot of forward depth that would kind of pick up the spot of Giannis. But who knows? You could get in a trade. But just like the thought of Castle or Harper on the Bucks, I feel like it's got a little bit of a charm to it. The only other trade I would do if it were to the Eastern Conference team would be the Hawks. Again, you're not adding him to the already star-studded Knicks. I think the Knicks would be a bad idea just overall. But Atlanta with Jalen Johnson or Trae Young, I think, are two very large, appealing trades. But again, the real thing is I don't want to trade them, but the Spurs and the Hawks, I think, are the two that to me and the best option, I think, for the Bucks moving forward with who they're going to be playing. How well is this team going to potentially do with the addition of Giannis? I don't really see the Hawks just becoming a top 3 seed now. And again, it's still with the players around him and coaching, but I don't know. The Spurs and Victor and Giannis could be kind of crazy, but I think the haul that they could get back from those two teams would be the most appealing for me overall.
Yeah, and I did read a report from Mark Stein where he did also mention that the Rockets and the Spurs likely won't be in on Giannis, for a trade market. And the reason being is because that would require them to give up one of their 2 younger players. So that would require them to give up either like Dylan Harper or Stephon Castle, and I don't think they're going to be willing to do that. Because look, it would be Giannis and Wemby, and right now Giannis being out, it does hurt his trade value a little bit because you're not going to trade him when he's not healthy. You wouldn't trade him when he's not healthy, and so like the Rockets would be another team to kind of watch, even though they did say that Giannis or the Rockets likely wouldn't be in on him. Because again, kind of the same thing is, are you really just going to give up like 1 to 2 young pieces for like a short championship window? And I think that's what these teams with younger players are kind of thinking about, where, like we really want Giannis. But it was kind of like when Kevin Durant wanted out like a few years ago, and it's just like, God damn, we really want Kevin Durant, but this might be hard to just make it work with just one team. Right? This probably will need to be a 3-team deal because Giannis, because he's as big of a superstar as anybody.
Correct. Yeah, I see a lot of these like trade ESPN like trade guides. It's like the Rockets getting Thanasis and Giannis, and they're giving up Sengun. It's like, do you really want to give up? I mean, I would love Sengun, don't get me wrong, but do you want to give up your young center who has really shown himself these last few years for Giannis? And
yeah,
and here's too. I mean, he's a good shooter, but
yeah, because here's the thing with that. Because there was a cautionary tale, Evan. Because if you remember, the LA Clippers Oklahoma City Thunder trade from a few years ago, right? Where it was Shea. The main parts of this trade was Shea for Kawhi.
Paul George.
Shea for Paul George. Oh yeah, that's right. Oh yeah,
yep.
I forgot.
Yeah, that was
and then Kawhi signed free agency. Yeah, you're right. Okay, yeah. So Shea for Paul George. Shea blossomed into one of the best players in the league, MVP last year. Paul George, meanwhile, never made it to a Western Conference Finals and, dealt with a lot of injuries, and now he's on the Sixers. It is now a cautionary tale where teams look at it and say, look, we really want Giannis, but it's like, do we really want to give up like a young piece that we could build around for maybe a short championship window that if it doesn't work out, then, oh shit, we could have kept this guy. And, that's, when you do things in the short term and it doesn't work out, it can hurt you in the long term. Okay? Because look at the Clippers now. The Clippers trading Shea for Paul George hurt them in the long term. Clippers are one of the worst teams in the league. And the reason why is because they have a very old, expensive roster. They don't, there's no building blocks there, Evan. None. There's none. Okay? Like, you look at that roster, all right, James Harden is not playing. Okay? Kawhi's older. Paul George is no longer there. Zubac is older. Brook Lopez is like 38.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you just have a very old roster. And, when you do that, your team's not going to be as good. Okay? Your team needs to be built by young talent. And that's the biggest issue I have with the Milwaukee Bucks right now. They don't have, like a lot of teams have, like, building blocks that we can maybe get guy for here. What Milwaukee's looking at is a lot of short-term veteran pieces. That's not how you're going to win in the NBA. Okay? And it will be a cautionary tale because, look, they gave up all this draft picks to appease Giannis, which, again, I just don't – the part that I'm really trying to understand, I understand you could win with veterans, okay? But you really win with young talent. And Milwaukee just – but by just giving up, by basically having them F them picks mentality, okay, has hurt themselves in the long run each time they come up short. Because your team, like, with playing a lot of playoff basketball, you're only going to get older. All right? And, unfortunately, Horst, under the direction of ownership, was like we cannot have Giannis leave. We need to do everything possible to keep him here. But, when you don't have any – they have no young players to build around. None. Like, KPJ don't just play, but he's been in the league for 7 years.
Yeah. And,
I think you froze.
The one trade, for the Knicks one that they have, it's – oh, maybe. Am I back?
Yeah, you back.
Good? Okay. The Knicks trade just seems extremely silly. It's Giannis and Jericho Sims, again, former Knick, for Cat, Pacome, I don't know that guy, and Tyler Kolek. I love Tyler Kolek, Marquette guy, and that one really bothers me. It's because the Bucks could have just drafted him. They drafted Tyler Smith, and the next pick was Tyler Kolek. It's like you're just trading these guys who, one, you could have had. I love Cat. He's my favorite player out that's not in the Bucks, but it's not going to add anything to the team with what they have. So I don't know. It just seems silly. And some of these trades are just so lopsided that the Bucks would, I think, end up winning in that trade overall. But like, I don't want Draymond Green. Come on. Maybe 10 years ago that would have been cool, but I don't want Draymond Green, respectfully. Sengun would be cool, but again, are the Rockets going to want to do it? But no, it's again one of those things where is it really worth it at the end of the day? But yeah, what the Bucks do with their picks is the complete opposite with what the Brewers do. The Brewers are thriving with young talent, and then they slowly innovate them into the lineups, and they blossom. Bryce Strang, Sal Frelick, all those guys. Bucks are like, yeah, let's just trade them right away. Nothing. Can't do anything with them.
Well, and I think what would also help is to get like a younger, innovative coach. There's nothing innovative about Doc Rivers.
Yeah.
There's not
I
Doc Rivers
so much.
like a Werther's candy is more innovative than Doc Rivers. Okay, I'm just gonna say it. Doc Rivers, there's nothing innovative about him. Okay, he just like anytime something wrong happens, he just throws everybody under the bus. All right, like he literally did it last night with Kevin Porter Jr., where Kevin Porter Jr. has probably been one of our best players. Now, granted, he did turn it over 7 times, but still, it's like, dude, like you're throwing out these sorry ass lineups. Like the hell else is he supposed to do? Like you're throwing out a lineup, literally the lineup yesterday. Okay, and I'm gonna get off on a little bit of a tangent here. The lineup yesterday. Okay, you didn't like. You said that he said that the lineup with Kevin Porter Jr. and Ryan Rollins didn't work. Well, it sure is a hell lot better than yesterday's lineup was Kevin Porter Jr., Gary Trent Jr., AJ Green, Jericho Sims, and Miles Turner. And you're gonna sit there and tell me that a lineup with Ryan Rollins and Kevin Porter Jr. performs worse than a lineup with Jericho Sims and Miles Turner? Number one, there's no spacing out on the floor. Jericho Sims can't do anything other than like rebound and dunk. That's literally his talent. Okay, so you cannot sit there like I don't care what the analytics say. The eye test says that a lineup with Ryan Rollins and Kevin Porter Jr. looks a lot better aesthetically than a lineup with Miles Turner and Jericho Sims. You didn't even play Jericho Sims in some of the games. Now all of a sudden, because we need some, just because Giannis is hurt, oh my God, now we need Jericho Sims. If you want to throw out a guy who hasn't played in a little bit, why not give Ajax a shot? Ajax sure as hell plays a lot better defense than some of the fucking guys you got out there. That's what makes me about this entire thing with Glenn Doc Rivers. It's just the fact that he has no idea he does know nothing about this roster. Nothing. Not a damn thing. It's infuriating. Andre Jackson Jr., say what you will about him. Does he foul? Does he get a little too over-aggressive? Sure. Okay. But he sure is a lot better than Jericho Sims looks. All right? At least Andre Jackson Jr. can move. At least he can space the floor a little bit. Now he shouldn't shoot. He's taking a few shots at the end of the games. I'm like, dude, you should not shoot. But again, it's just why does he not know? Does he not know anything about this roster? Are we putting him in a bad spot, or is it just the fact that he's just not very innovative? Okay, and he shouldn't be coaching this team. He shouldn't even have an NBA job, and yet we gifted him one because our dumbass ownership had no plan in place after firing Mike Budenholzer. None. We have 11 wins. We have 11 wins on the year. 11. Okay. We just lost by 45 to the Brooklyn Nets. I could barely name 4 players on the Brooklyn Nets. Okay. Outside of Michael Porter Jr., I can't name 4 players on that roster. And yet, evidently, we weren't ready to play. We had no shit. Okay, I don't understand. I just don't understand how you go from coming back against the Boston Celtics. Okay, 14 points down. You came back against the Boston Celtics. Now all of a sudden you come in Sunday. All right, this should be an easy win. This team had 7 wins, Evan. 7. They had 7 wins.
Yep.
And you lose by 45. That makes no sense. That honestly, if I were like ownership and I was looking at it, I would have fired him right after that game. If I were Giannis, I would have demanded a trade right after that game was over. And yet to bring it up again is giving me war flashbacks. Okay, because that was just pitiful. It was pitiful how they played. It wasn't great. There was nothing great about it. It angered me to no end. All right,
and then nothing happens with Doc Rivers.
Then not exactly. It's just what, we're talking about what can they do around Giannis? No, what can they do with the coach? Okay, what can they do with the coach?
Give it to Rondo.
I have to think about it like this: if they fire Doc Rivers tomorrow, who's offering him another job? Nobody is. He's probably a great broadcaster, and he should have been a broadcaster. But they yanked him out of the boat to coach this team. And the results are what you expected. But of course, everybody's going to be making excuses for him, just like he makes for this team. Takes absolutely positively no accountability. Okay? How the team plays is a humongous reflection on you. All right? And I think right now, the reflection is he's lost the voice in the locker room. He has.
Yeah, that Nets game, the Bucks were embarrassingly only a 1.5 point favorite, and then you lose by 45. So you're already only a 1.5 game favorite to beat a team that has 6 wins, but then you get blown out by 45 points. It's I don't know.
Nets. This isn't we're not
to
playing
the Nets.
This isn't the Thunder. The Thunder. If we beat the Thunder, that's understandable because they have a lot more talent than we do, and they're a lot better defensively. But the Nets. You cannot, under any circumstances, lose by 45 to the Nets. They're not even trying to win. They're literally
Correct.
They literally said we're probably going to rebuild in the next couple of years. Lose by 45. God, it's that game. Sorry, honestly, that game made me so mad because it was losing 127 to 82, in which. You didn't really look competitive after the first quarter, really.
And in the fourth.
That game. Like between the Micah Parsons blowing out his knee and then losing by 4. Like I looked at the scores. Like, what the? Wait, they lost by 45. That can't be right. I was like counting on my fingers. And, they lost by 45 to a team that has won doesn't even won. I don't even think they won 10 games yet.
10 years.
All right, you know what? Moving on to the next topic because I gotta get off this one. So Bobby and Giannis seemingly combat Shams' rumors. So in case you don't remember, Shams a while back was alluding to the fact that that the Bucks could feel tension in the locker room, and following Milwaukee's comeback win against the Celtics, both of them seemingly had laughing emojis. Like they didn't say Shams' name by name, but they did kind of like take a subtle dig at him. What was your kind of reaction to that?
Like it's again one of those things where it's like it's proving the point that everyone's been trying to say for the past few months. And again, it could come from Giannis himself, like it has, and people are still find a way to twist it. But no, I pulled up a video. The Bleacher Report posted the interview with Giannis going, "I'm the hottest chick in the game right now," and all the trade rumors. Like obviously he sees the attention, hates the attention, but I feel like they're just trying to like joke about it now just because of how excessive it has been. But it's nice to see more. I think out of all the players too, Bobby to say it, I think is like the most understandable player as well. Cause again, he has the longest tenure on the Bucks outside of Giannis. So it's good to hear from him himself, but no, it's just getting annoying where like other players are having to step in now to disarm all the rumors that again aren't true. Giannis has not said he wants to be traded because you know what? He probably would be gone by now, or they have a trade lined up ready to go. And once the date hits that they can start trading, boom, done, gone. But he is still here. Yeah,
the rumors are pretty annoying. I understand Shams is doing his job, and I've said before, it's like I don't know why I would lie about this, but by the same token, it's like when you keep pushing for it every day, it's just like it's rather annoying for everybody else involved. But Giannis did kind of say yesterday, essentially, this kind of comes to the territory. I'm like, look, if your team's struggling, and if I'm an executive, and you kind of can see the discontent there, you're just gonna prod into it. You're just gonna prod into it because there was another report that said, teams have been calling, even though Milwaukee continuously told other teams time and time again, look, he's not available, and teams keep prodding into it, and Milwaukee's smartly like he's probably not going to be available. Like we'll kind of let you know about that. It's not like the Nico Harrison thing where it just was like, whoa, that came out of nowhere. Like it is not like that at all. It probably won't be like that. I think John Horst is somebody who, well, for what as a GM, he has a functioning brain at least to would never do that to Giannis. But I could understand why executives were reaching out and saying, look, is Giannis available? Is he going to be available? Or what are you guys going to do with that? Because I don't think they're going to lose it for nothing. I do think they'll find the best trade package for him, but also don't think they should worry about where his preferred landing spots are because you don't want another Eastern Conference team to be better. So, I just think right now, and seeing what he said last night about he was talking about his media avail last night. He was saying I'm the hottest chick in the game right now. Only Giannis can make trade rumors really funny. But look, he understands it comes with the territory, and I hope he's not getting off on these oh my god, oh my god, everybody's talking about me, all these rumors and stuff, and I'm fine with that. I'm fine with him being excited about it, but by the same token, it's all right, well, okay, I don't know if it's I mean, sure, it's fine for you, but it can be a distraction for your teammates because, then they get asked, then Doc Rivers gets
Yep.
asked, and it can kind of peter over into being a distraction. So I do want him and his representatives to be very, very careful that they toe this very lightly. Don't ask for a trade. Because I don't think it'll be hated in the city of Milwaukee, but I do think you could do a lot more harm than good by not addressing it or just don't. If you request a trade or demand a trade or whatever, just you can people can love you. People love to tear other people down, and I just want them to be very, very careful as to not have this peter over to being distraction for the rest of the team. Maybe it already has, but once the other players have to start answering for it, maybe it already has. But again, you just have to be kind of told this very, very lightly. So moving on to the next topic. Chris Haynes which again, it is kind of funny the fact that Giannis did say that I feel like I'm the hottest chick in the game right now, because he also did tell Chris Haynes a few days ago that hey, I'm not comfortable. Also, not really comfortable with all these trade rumors that I've been spotting out about.
Yep.
So what are your thoughts? Do you think he's honestly So do you think he's comfortable, or how do you think he's kind of taking all this?
If I'm in his shoes, I would be a little annoyed with it. Just again, based off Giannis and his people are the only ones who truly know what his mind says or what his decision is. So I could definitely feel frustration from him, just because again, there could be tons and tons of people who are twisting his words and saying the complete opposite of what he's actually wanting to do with his career. So I definitely would find a little frustration in it, but I think with his jokes, it's just a little way of just not feeding into it, but allowing yourself to if he truly does not want to be traded, he could feed into it all he wants, because deep down he knows none of this is going to happen. So the more they talk about it, the more you can just kind of poke at it. But no, I definitely could see some early frustration with it, just because especially when you're hurt and you're losing, it doesn't help a lot. Obviously, if you are out there playing and you're still getting destroyed, it makes a little bit of a difference. But if you're losing without him, there's not a whole lot that you can really do, just because he is not essentially having any effect on the game because he's not playing. So at the end of the day, it's out of his hands right now. It's more on the players who are currently healthy, and obviously the coaches too. But definitely frustration out of that, just because it's got to be annoying after the few months of this, but years and years of it just overall just brewing up.
Yeah, and I think that I feel like it's kind of a twofold thing where it's sure, maybe he's not comfortable with all the trade rumors and stuff like that, but I think there's an element too where it's but it's not him. He's mentioned before, It's not me, it's my representatives. My representatives, my agent can really talk to whomever they want. But you're not gonna and I understand people are gonna say where it's well, he could stop it for them. And it's well, I mean, but the thing is if you're a person who always kind of thinking about your future. Now, granted, none of us are rich enough or that noteworthy to have an agent. But for someone in Giannis' shoes, where he's thinking about his future, it's what are you not going to look? It's if you're thinking about it, right? If say you're thinking about moving, right, and you have kind of a list, do you not tap the door and or look at houses and stuff like that, or you just testing the market a little bit? That's kind of what he's doing, without really saying. But because he didn't say because he said long before, it's look, if this team remains in a contention window, I want to be here, but if they're not, which this year doesn't look like they're going to be, then yeah, I'm going to kind of be testing the waters here. I'm going to see kind of what's out there. And, even if it's not going to happen this year, that doesn't mean because I'm assuming his representation's looking at every single avenue of oh my God, there's maybe some good spots in Minnesota. There's some great spots in New York. There's some good spots in Miami. They're probably looking at all that stuff. So I wouldn't necessarily close it off and be like, no, he shouldn't have his agent. Well, it's that's their job though. It's to do what's best for their client. And probably what's best for their clients is being like, all right, well, this is probably the time to start thinking about it. So no, I don't hate the fact that he's doing this because they're just agents are just doing their job at the end of the day. If a guy's not happy or he's kind of thinking about wanting to leave, then it's all right. Well, we'll help us the steps on wanting to do that. He probably doesn't have a place in mind. I wouldn't guess, but he probably has some ideas of this team fit could be good for me and my family and stuff like that. So I mean, there's a lot of things that he's probably thinking about.
Yeah, I think again, kind of like you said with the whole family part. Again, the kid, or he's got 4 kids now, or is it 5, 4 or 5, something like that.
Mm.
Wife, you got to go where you think is best, and if it's here, it's here. If it's somewhere else, it's somewhere else. You never know, but yeah, at the end of the day, he's doing his job. Agents are doing their job. You gotta do whatever makes sense to make sure that both of you keep a job and you're at the spot that you want to be at.
Yep. Moving on to the next topic. Milwaukee has been operating as if Giannis will remain with the team through the deadline. What are your thoughts on that? And do you think that Giannis will kind of be with Milwaukee through the trade deadline?
I do. I think they're going to. Again, it's always one of those things where I feel like with the Brewers, Packers, every Wisconsin team, it's they're always super active at the trade deadline and then nothing ever happens. But I feel like with the Bucks, they're the ones to pull the trigger a lot more than other teams. I feel like this is going to be the year of who can we get to essentially hope that something could turn around throughout the rest of the season, hopefully make the playoffs or at least the play-in, because right now they're not even a play-in team. But with the rumors of, like you mentioned earlier, LaVine, Kuminga, I've seen some of the Timberwolves ones as well, but I feel like it's just going to be, what can we do this year to hope that he stays in the future? And if it's not this year, then maybe next year they end up trading him. But I definitely think he'll stay here for this year. And whatever they do at the trade deadline, I feel like is going to be the huge case of, is this worth staying or is it worth leaving? Which is going to be obviously then big on the Bucks ownership, because if he ends up leaving, you got to make sure that, all right, well, we've traded some of these guys out. Are they going to be helpful for the future if Giannis does end up leaving? And are you going to have to trade those guys then to get younger? Who knows? But I definitely think he'll be here by when the deadline's done.
Agreed. I think they were looking at that trade with that shocking trade that the Mavs did with the Lakers. I think it was ahead of the deadline or maybe before it. I think it might have been before. I'm not 100% certain, but I think they're looking at it and they're like, guy's been here for 12 years. Probably shouldn't trade a once in a generational star without, because again, there is something to be said for rushing into that deal where it's oh my God, we cannot trade him and then get nothing back for him, essentially. Where your team's not better in the long run. Because the Mavs are going to be rebuilding for a couple of years. That team's not good. Okay, they got Kyrie Irving and they got PJ Washington, but those players were supposed to be with Luka. Now that they're not, it just looks kind of Jesus, that's all they got. That's it. You don't want to be a that's it team where it's really Anthony Davis, that. Ugh, really for a generational.
Yeah, or you're getting a player who. Yeah, exactly. Or you're getting a player who doesn't even want to be in Milwaukee. It's like if the Bucks trade for Trae Young and Trae Young doesn't want to be here, well, it's like now you got him for whatever his contract is, and then he's out. Then you lose
And,
you lose
and
that
look,
player as well if no one wants to extend.
yeah, and we talked about this before. Milwaukee's done this where they traded Ray Allen for Gary Payton, and Gary Payton was there for like a year, like maybe half a season. So it's like, don't do that. Which, by the way, speaking of that, I completely forgot the fact that Ray Allen's jersey was never retired because he wore number 34. And then, they gave it to Giannis. And Giannis's jersey, his probably going to be the 134 that's retired, which honestly made me feel a little bad because I was like, damn, Ray Allen actually did a lot for this franchise, but, like, he'll never have his number retired in Milwaukee. Like, because... Yeah. So I that kind of struck me. I was like, oh, shit, I forgot. Because it was on Thanasis' podcast where he was talking about, like, people didn't like me when I was, like, at 34 because, like, Ray Allen wore that number. And I was like, who's this Greek kid? But now all of a sudden, Giannis is, like, the greatest buck of all time. So it's, like, kind of overshadows what Ray did for the city.
Same with it was that. And obviously, Michael Redd growing up, he was the big face. And then Chris Middleton has his number. So it was a lot of duel. But yeah, Ray Allen didn't want to be traded, and then they shipped him out. So it's been a business like that for so long, and it's unfortunate. But yeah, we'll kind of see with how that goes. Again, it always depends on, like, if you trade Zach LaVine and Zach LaVine doesn't end up panning out how they wanted it to, and now you're stuck with him, and Giannis is gone, who knows what's going to happen. But I'm a firm believer, not a bias or anything, that Giannis will still be here by the trade deadline.
Yep, I'm moving on to the next. Yeah, I hope so. I think he will be, but you never know how the business of the NBA moves.
You never know.
So it's kind of reading about, like, the December 15th deadline is here, which means extension eligible players could now be traded. So I was kind of reading about, like, what Milwaukee hopes to do to improve its roster. Apparently they're going to be targeting players like Zach LaVine, which we've talked about at length, Jerami Grant, Andrew Wiggins,
I saw that one.
Marcus Smart, and DeJounte Murray. Now, Evan, I don't know about you. I think this marginally improves their roster. Actually, to be quite frank, it doesn't improve its roster at all. Like, these are great contributors, but, like, I don't think Giannis is going to be looking at, I need another running mate. Oh, my God. Jerami Grant, come on down. And I like Jerami Grant. Jerami Grant killed Milwaukee earlier this year. I don't look at him as, like, oh, my God, Giannis is running mate. Or Andrew Wiggins, same thing. Marcus Smart, all right. Well, Marcus Smart cannot be – Marcus Smart, no disrespect, is not anybody's running mate, okay? I would love to have him
5 years ago.
Yeah, this is not Defensive Player of the Year, Marcus Smart. He's gotten a little older since then. DeJounte Murray, again, is this the Spurs DeJounte Murray? Because that did not pan out with the Hawks. So, like, because assuming they get another star, because that's what we're going for here, is which player do you think Milwaukee should target out of these, like, 5?
I do like DeJounte Murray. I did see rumors of Trey Murphy or Herb Jones as well from the Pelicans. I do like those two a lot, especially Trey Murphy, averaging like 20 points this year. But out of the 5, I would probably just say Zach LaVine, just because you're going to get a shooter and you're going to get someone who is super athletic and cover the floor a lot better. Realistically, I just think he would be the best fit. Again, he is someone who can, you're not going to be like if he gives us 15 points, that'd be awesome. Like, he's going to give you 20 to 25 points some games, and he can still jump out of the roof. He can, the building, he can still, it just makes the most sense. DeJounte Murray got another cool piece. But if you are going to trade him, again, Herb Jones and Trey Murphy are on the Pelicans. Got a lot of good guys who are just like kind of stuck there. Again, kind of with their coaching situation as well, but there's a lot of guys you never know, because it's one of those things where are you going to be giving up too much for these guys where, you got to trade Kuzma and Bobby Portis for one of these guys, so you're losing two guys for one, or what are going to be those secondary pieces back that are they going to help as much as Kyle Kuzma and Bobby Portis did with their support. So I think it's not only with the main piece of the trade. I think it's really going to end up being who are the second, the involvement in the trade. Where is it just Zach LaVine, or is it Zach LaVine and some bench warmer who could maybe have some sort of effect to the Bucks lineup as well?
Yeah, because I've seen like Zach LaVine and then like somebody like Keon Ellis. So I mean, now granted. Now, but the thing is like, what eco value trade would you find for Zach LaVine? Is it going to be Kuz, Portis, both? I mean, that's what I'd be interested to see. So, like, if it's, I mean, either way, if they get Zach LaVine, I wouldn't necessarily hate it, because I do think that would help Milwaukee out a lot offensively. Defensively, not 100% sure about that. I haven't really been painted into Zach LaVine's defensive metrics, but offensively, like, it could look decently well, to where they can help him out offensively and have not one of our offensive pieces be Miles Turner. Not that I hate Miles Turner, but
who's taking
so
taking 4 shots a game. That's just not
great. And again, I think Doc Rivers has gotten a little frustrated with the play of Miles Turner. He hasn't said like I'm frustrated, but it's just one of those things now where it's like, I mean, we scored 21 yesterday. It's not bad. He's putting up points. It's just like, also the other thing too is like, is she shooting like a good percentage? That's the other thing that you're kind of worried about is, I mean, he scored 21 points, but he does take a lot of threes, and
was it?
And so I mean that's kind of the other concerns. It's been okay, but it hasn't been. Which again, I don't know what you expected, because Miles Turner has always been like a high volume.
Who you wanted?
Well, he's always been like a high volume scorer, but it's not. But it wasn't like, and I get why they. And I don't think they regret signing him, but also there's been a lot of chatter about like, oh well, if they could get somebody better, they could trade Miles Turner. But it's like, I don't think they would do that in like a 4-year, like big ass contract that they said.
Yeah.
It hasn't been bad. It just hasn't been maybe what they expected.
Who they were kind of hoping for.
Yeah, I mean, well, the thing is like, oh, here's another running back, Miles Turner. I don't know. Miles Turner is a good player. Was a good player and a good team. I don't know if anybody considers him to be, Tyrese's like running mate, like the dynamic duo, Batman and Robin. I don't think it was like that. It wasn't like it definitely wasn't Shaq and Kobe. Tell you that right now. But look, I like Miles Turner, but he's not like, again, he's lasted a long time in Indy, but it's not act like he was supposed to be Giannis' dynamic duo. Like that they were gonna, that was supposed to be Lillard and Giannis. Like that was supposed to work. Not Giannis and Miles Turner has just gotten a very smaller version of that. And it's indicative. Like, what's indicative of like how impactful a guy is if they play in the last 4 or 5 minutes. And lately, it seems like it hasn't been Miles Turner. Like he has not played. Like they've gotten smaller. They've gotten like Jericho Sims. They've gotten Bobby Portis. Because like, look, Miles Turner, as good of an offensive player he is, he's not a great defensive player. Block shots, sure, but that doesn't really tell the whole story on if a player is a great defensive player or not. He does pick up a lot of fouls. He fouls a crap ton. So
Yeah.
Again, that's not like sure, guy can have like a crap ton of blocks, but like if they're like fouling a shit ton, then it's like you're not gonna be out on the floor, and he wasn't out on the floor last night in the later stage of that game either. Like they go with shooters and then Bobby Portis. Like that's basically what they've been doing for the most part. All right, moving on to the last few topics that we do have. Milwaukee does have a trade chip. It could very well be Kyle Kuzma. What? So I guess number one, it was in Milwaukee's current position, kind of heading into the deadline, like the next couple months. Should Milwaukee think about trading Kyle Kuzma? And if so, where do you think a good landing spot would be for him?
See, I feel like Kuzma got a lot of hate last year for no reason, just because, again, he started off pretty slow and had a good stint, but he's gotten a lot better this year, and it's like unfortunate, like he is a good trade piece, and like it's not like it's one of those things where I'm fine with trading him. Again, it's not like you're trading Chris Middleton kind of franchise player but he definitely is, I think, a decent trade pick for this year. And I think the only way you should trade him is to know how effective the person you're trying to get in return, if they are essentially going to be a better overall player than Kyle Kuzma, obviously. But like, you don't want to trade someone who's going to be, you think, like equal, because then there's no point in trading him. But if you think Zach LaVine is going to be significantly better this year for the Bucks than Kyle Kuzma is currently, by all means, trade him. If like that's what you truly think, or if you, again, there's someone on the Pelicans, Jerami Grant or Wiggins, if you think that they're going to have a higher contribution on the Bucks than Kyle Kuzma is doing, by all means, trade him. But if you're hesitant on it, I just don't really see them wanting to trade him then, and either they don't make a trade or they trade someone else. But I just think if they're going to want to trade him, you got to like really be high in on this whatever player you're going to want to trade for to have on your team, just because Kyle Kuzma, he's not playing horribly. He's been one of our better players this year, I think, overall. So yeah, it's got to be someone solid, or that they're very high on, that they truly think that they are going to be able to keep maybe for an extended period, or if this is like their only year on the Bucks, then they're going to have some high contribution where it was a trade that was worth doing in the end, with giving up Kuzma.
Yeah, and like I said, if they're not going to trade Giannis, Kyle Kuzma is probably their number one trade chip that they do have.
Yeah.
All the reason why I say that is because, think about this. Last year, you got rid of Middleton for Kyle Kuzma. You expected Kyle Kuzma to kind of quickly fill in that void, which, again, he hasn't been bad about. He hasn't been bad. But, you're trading Kyle Kuzma because you were hoping to contend. And now that contention didn't happen, or probably not going to happen, now you're just like, all right, well, what can we do to improve this roster? And trade Kyle Kuzma for like maybe a draft pick or two, and maybe like a player for player swap, I think it'd be in Milwaukee's best interest. But like Bobby Portis, maybe like Bobby Portis, a lot of people are saying Kuzma and Portis together. Like I think you kind of worry about Kuzma first and see if you can get something back for Portis, because I do think Portis is an impactful player. He's not as consistent as I want him to be, but Kuz, as good as he's been, I mean, this team's not going anywhere. They're probably not contending. So why not get something back for him and see if you could get him to like another contender, or I can't talk to you. I'm going to be honest. I wouldn't necessarily mind if they traded an Eastern Conference foe, because it's like, we're not going anywhere. Then
yeah.
Kyle Kuzma is
Correct.
Like, he's not Giannis. Like if it were Giannis, oh shit, why would they do that? But like Kyle Kuzma's, I mean, he's a rotational player. He's good. But if they trade like the Heat or something, I'm not like, oh my god, they can't do that. Helping out the Heat is just not.
Yeah, what are we doing?
That's a marginal impact, if any. So
yeah, and with him too, it's again, He's been on the team this is his first full season. So again, it's not like he has some long tenure with the team. I do think Bobby has gotten significantly better the last few weeks with the absence of Giannis. But, Kuzma, he's shooting over 50%, 51, 13 and a half points, a little bit under what he was shooting last year with, I believe, 16 points. But I think in the end, like doing the whole Bobby Kyle together, I don't really think that's a good idea unless you are just getting some absolute beast. But Bobby averaging 12 points, 6 rebounds, and shooting 49%, like they're pretty much equal. And I think Bobby has a bigger upside on the Bucks over Kyle Kuzma. So again, I feel more confident trading Kuzma. I think you're going to get a little more out of him, and I think trading Bobby will be like letting Willie Adames walk. It's like you lose a lot of like that heart and soul in the team, and that vocal person on the team I always think is super positive. No matter how good or bad they are, I just feel like it's hard to just get rid of a player like that when they are still being successful. Bobby's not averaging 5 points off the bench and can't grab a rebound to save his life where it makes sense to trade him. But I'm fine with trading Kuzma, unfortunately. But yeah, definitely is something worth noting. Oh, my screen turned off. There we go.
Yep. Completely agree. So last couple of topics. Brian Windhorst was on the Ryan Russillo show yesterday. And he was essentially like, once Giannis leaves, it might be a long time before the Bucks are contenders again. What was your reaction to that?
A little annoying, but like not wrong either. Again, if they would have been able to get out of the first round the last few years, I would be a little more hesitant to kind of like clap back at it. But he's not wrong, just with, again, the Bucks roster and how good it looks on paper to how they've been contributing. I think, again, I personally think the team is capable of doing it or contending, but I just think Doc Rivers is holding him back. I truly am a stan on it is at this point, it has to be coaching. Like there is no way I could really believe that the Bucks just could not beat the Nets after they beat them by like 16 or 19 a few weeks ago. It's like to just lose by 45. It doesn't make sense. Some of these games just do not make sense. And I just feel like it's their shot selection. And again, it's not just, I'm deciding to shoot now. It's like the Wizards, you lost to the Wizards, you're losing to the Nets, you're just losing to these teams where these are the teams that are tanking for the first overall pick, and we're making them look like they're the dream team. And no, I'm a stand on it's got to be coaching at this point. But for contending, like they're not wrong. We're not even a playing team right now. So even with Giannis, it's not like we were 5 games over 500 and now we've lost since, but it's still there. But for a championship team, there's no way. Can contend for the playoffs, but it's hard to disagree with that, unfortunately.
Yeah, like Giannis would need to come back. And I'm looking at this roster and, I'm like, dude, why don't you take as much time as you need? Like, because you're going to come back, have to score 35 again for this team to win? Like, take your time. Yeah. Literally take your time. Like we mentioned before, he's going to be out 4 to 6 weeks. And that is from when his injury occurred, like on December 3rd.
Yep.
So it's not like the 4 to 6 weeks don't start
right now. Yep.
They have already started. Shams was wrong. It wasn't a calf strain. I mean, it was a calf strain, but his timeline on it was wrong. It was 4 to 6 weeks, not 2 to 4.
Yep.
So, but and that's the same injury he suffered a couple of years ago, and he's like against the Celtics, and he had to miss the entire postseason run. So.
Mm-hmm.
Now I don't disagree with Windhorst here. It is going to be a while before Milwaukee's contenders again because they've dug themselves in a big of a hole where they don't want to get younger players. They refuse to get younger players. They're trading all their draft picks. And when you do that, and when you don't win championships, this is the position that you put yourselves in where You kind of just become like an older, a little more expensive team. And when you sign guys like Miles Turner, when you have guys like Kuzma who's under team control, Kevin Porter Jr., and when you have Gary Trent, you have AJ Green, it's like, all right, well, they got to do something to get younger. I don't know how they're going to do that because they've literally given up every draft pick imaginable. So, yeah, it'll be a little bit. Milwaukee's going to have to rebuild, but because they're not going to find another Giannis. That's really hard to do that. But if they do,
Yep.
I mean, if they do, God can only hope.
Yeah, and that's what they've just been trying to do. Yeah, a lot of it's just been them thinking that they're. God, my screen keeps turning out. Can you still see me and hear me?
I can see you.
There we go. I'm back. Okay. I just probably was looking aimlessly. No, my monitor, if like I barely tap it, it just like shuts off. But no, I still think that they have players who are capable of making a playoff run. They're just, again, without Giannis, they don't. But like we need that player who can still lead a team like Zach LaVine. Like, again, not a bad leader. He was on the Bulls for quite a few seasons, able to, run an offense. But no, without him, we're just, again, always missing that one piece. And that one piece is, unfortunately, Giannis, who just have not had for a few weeks now. And but no, it shows a lot. But I feel like, again, we got a roster who's somewhat capable of contending for at least a play-in, but we just need, again, someone if Giannis is hurt or out, or not even just playing like on the bench. They just need someone who is you can trust out on the court without him, who is capable of running the offense, like Chris Middleton or Drew Holiday, etc., that we've had in the past. Where if Giannis is out, you can kind of trust that other guys are going to step up. But now that Giannis is out, it's like, oh, there's no point. There's no way that they have a hope of winning.
All right. Moving on to the final topic of the day. I saw this trade rumor. Sam Quinn, NBA, said that the Dallas Mavericks should think about trying to trade for Milwaukee's 2031 and 2032 draft picks to acquire, essentially to trade Anthony Davis to Milwaukee. What are your thoughts on that? And should the Bucks try to be trained for AD?
Okay. This is, again, I know I've mentioned it before, like when the Bucks got Lillard, it's just at a weird point in time where, again, growing up a Bucks fan and just seeing Anthony Davis on the Pelicans and seeing Drew Holiday in his like early years on the Blazers, like there's no way you would tell me that at one point these guys would be on the Bucks. Like what happened in 10 years that like all of a sudden they could acquire them for how bad they were. It's one of those things where I would do it. The only reason is because unless I know that the Bucks are going to use those draft picks accordingly and develop these guys and allow them to, get regular minutes, play on the hurt a little bit and just kind of like slowly build their way up. If they were to do that, I would say no to the trade. But are the Bucks realistically in I'm going to say it, in 6 and 7 years, are they actually going to do anything with these guys, or is it worth just giving up 2 draft picks for Anthony Davis? At the end of the day, it's Anthony Davis. Like, he's still an animal when he's healthy, but is it too risky to make these picks? I don't know, but I lean towards doing it because, like, why the hell not at this point? Like, they've already dug themselves a bigger hole. Is 2 draft picks in 5 or 6 years really going to have a big effect with them right now? Who knows? But fuck it. At that point, who really cares? Again, we're already dug ourselves. Why not just go after Anthony Davis at this point?
I do disagree, only because of the fact that I do think Milwaukee should do what it can to try to get some of those draft picks back. And
yeah,
if you're going to trade Giannis, then you better get like a haul of draft picks. I'm talking like OKC worthy.
Correct. Yep.
Like,
Mhm.
because the thing is like you're not okay. Like you mentioned, we're not going anywhere, but that doesn't mean we can't stock up on young talent and help them develop over time. I mean, that's what Milwaukee needs to do right now. It's just you need that infusion of young talent. That's what's winning games. Okay, if you want to try to get that mold of veterans plus young players, go be my guest. But it's like, them wanting to swing a deadline deal every single year and give up draft. They give up 5 second-round picks for Jay Crowder. That didn't work out.
Mm-hmm.
And,
no.
Again, you can have them F them picks mentality, but when you don't win, it kind of bites you in the ass in the end. So, look, I think that me personally, I would rather Milwaukee do what it can to recoup some of those draft picks if they decide to trade Giannis, if they decide to trade Kuzma, if they decide to trade Bobby Portis. I've heard Miles Turner. They're not trading Miles Turner a year after that contract. But, like, again, you try to recoup some of those draft picks, get younger, all right? Like, go on a rebuild for, 2 years. And then, hopefully you can get back in that contention window. Because, look, it's not that hard to make that playoffs in the Eastern Conference. But it is hard when your team's not that good.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of my view.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think, yes. I'm on the screw it standpoint if they are truly just not interested in trading Giannis at all. But if they are, again, Paul George got a shit ton of first-round draft picks. If that's Paul George at that standpoint in his career, again, no disrespect to Paul George. He still is owning us on the 76ers. But if Paul George is able to get that many first-round picks, I can't imagine how many the Bucks can pull, whether that's from one team or a 3-team or 4-team trade. If they're able to do that, by all means, do not trade for Anthony Davis. But if they have no point in wanting to use draft picks, again, might as well, because it's either you trade them now or you draft these guys, sit them on the bench, and then waive them. It's just like that's the Bucks. The Bucks way is, again, just drafting these guys, don't play them, and then get rid of them, or trade all the picks and hope that this veteran works, and then it doesn't, and now you're back to square one. Yeah, no, if you can get a haul from Giannis, then by all means, please do, because again, the players that the Bucks have, like I said earlier, is not a bad roster to have to help contend. You're just missing that 1 or 2 guys who could be someone that they develop.
Yeah. So, Evan, you got anything else?
No, Bucks got a pretty tough schedule coming up. Yep. Crazy to say that after an easy schedule, they're still making tough. Tough as in the Timberwolves coming up, but again, you got the Pacers. Who knows what's going to happen? You got the Grizzlies. Who knows what's going to happen? You say tough, but then you say these teams and you just assume. But every game now is a tough game, I feel like, for them based off how they're playing. But, yeah, no, they play Sunday the 21st and then Tuesday the 23rd. And then not another game till after Christmas. Thankfully, we don't have a Christmas game this year. I was very disappointed, but now that Giannis is out, that would have once again ruined my Christmas. Because that's what I do when the Bucks lose on Christmas Day.
All right. First off, we want to wish everybody a happy holidays and a Merry Christmas. Probably not going to record an episode until after that point. So just want to wish all our fans happy holidays, Merry Christmas. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to this edition of the Milwaukee Bucks and Tap podcast, and we'll probably see you guys next week.